Hi, welcome to the micro lecture for day 2 of the team MST Training in Cultural Humility. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. We are going to talk today about cognitive behavioral therapy. And you can see here on the screen the cognitive triangle. So as you know, the cognitive triangle illustrates the connections between thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. This graphic highlights how these three aspects influence each other. The cycle can perpetuate either positive or negative patterns. So let's briefly review how we, through the lens of CBT, understand dysfunctional thinking. For example, a mom who struggles with anxiety believes that no one is interested in spending time with her. This results in her being less likely to take part in social situations. However, if the therapist works with her to help her think through thoughts such as, I'll never make friends if I stay home, or I can leave anytime I want, I don't have to stay the whole time, the mother might be more likely to sign up for a new class or go to a party. These changes in thoughts and behaviors will positively impact her mood. Automatic thoughts are thoughts that express dysfunctional thinking. Not all automatic thoughts are the same, though they are often the result of two types of cognitive dysfunction, distortions and deficiencies. It is important to assess the nature of the dysfunction to develop well-defined interventions. For example, when encountering a social worker in school meetings, a dad may immediately think, she's out to get me, just like all social workers are. In this situation, the person's thinking is unhelpful or biased. When thinking this way, the situation is interpreted inaccurately, often highlighting harsh or critical views of the self. One kind of distortion is a negative attribution bias, which means attributing a hostile intention to a neutral behavior. For example, the father in the previous example may think, she's out to get me, in response to a socially neutral behavior, such as a social worker taking notes or referencing a report. The dad assumes that her documentation is to support the child getting in trouble. Cognitive deficiency occurs when one or more information processing steps are skipped. Individuals often overlook aspects of social situations, highlighting some details while ignoring others. While important aspects of information are systematically skipped, we consider this a deficiency or deficit in information processing. For example, the dad above could have the same automatic thought, she's out to get me, because he failed to see or hear cues about the situation that others see, such as a social worker smiling in a caring manner. So now let's summarize the history of CBT and consider what CBT looks like through a lens of structural racism. In the late 1950s, Aaron Beck believed psychoanalysis needed to be proven empirically in order to be taken seriously by the medical establishment. He embarked on a series of experiments to provide evidence of efficacy. His results, much to his surprise, proved the opposite. This led him on a quest to develop effective treatments for depression, which resulted in what we know today as cognitive behavioral therapy. He went on to develop the cognitive model, which, as you know, asserts that maladaptive thinking is a through line for all mental disturbances. Once people learn to evaluate their thinking in a more functional way, their feelings and behaviors are impacted positively. In a paper published in 2018, David et al. Said that over 2,000 studies had demonstrated the effectiveness of CBT, and it is commonly, if also controversially, considered the gold standard treatment for many who struggle with mental health issues. CBT aims to define and address problem behavior by shifting thinking in order to impact feelings and subsequently behavior. The main techniques of CBT are well defined and include respondent and operant conditioning, social learning theory, and cognitive restructuring of beliefs. Critical and feminist theories criticize CBT for its individual focus and the implication that the individual is in full control of changing their situation. It's unclear whether ethnic minorities receive the same benefit from CBT that white clients do. There are 4 meta-analyses of CBT treatments, specifically of conduct disorder in youth, psychosis, and substance use problems, that showed that ethnicity did not significantly impact CBT outcomes. But on the other hand, a meta-analysis published by Huey et al. In 2023 which assessed the impact of deep structure cultural adaptation in CBT to treat depression in Latina and Latino adults, found that the adaptations were associated with significant increases in treatment success, both at discharge and at follow-up, as compared with surface adaptations or no adaptation at all. By integrating elements of race-based stress, social and economic disparities, and access to healthy food, housing, quality education, quality jobs, and bank loans into the CBT framework, clinicians are able to provide more comprehensive and relevant care that acknowledges and addresses the multifaceted nature of the racialized experience. Clinicians often wonder whether they should ask about racist experiences, and if so, how. In a paper published in 2024, titled A Clinician's Guide to Healing the Wounds of Racial Trauma, Williams makes clear that it is essential for the care provider to understand the impact of racism on the client's experience, validate the experience, and integrate these experiences into the case conceptualization. So now we're going to talk about the anti-racist CBT theoretical framework, which was developed by Sena et al. In 2024. So let's think about how the cognitive triangle is impacted by structural racism. For example, someone feels hopeless about their financial situation. They have historically not been hired for high-paying jobs. While they do have a college education, their name is ethnic sounding and they have an accent, which they believe impacts their ability to get an interview. Additionally, as a result of redlining, they do not have family money or savings from a down payment for a house. What do you think would be the impact of changing thoughts around their ability to earn a living? CBT principles such as non-judgment and the collaborative nature of treatment should foster a level of adaptability to address cultural and racial issues. Yet several studies published in the past 2 decades have shown that CBT often fails to improve symptoms for racialized people as compared to white people. All right, thanks so much for joining us today.